Right, so car similar to Bryan Kohberger's, seen near victim's home multiple times just before alleged killings report. New cell phone data reveals Kohberger made 23 late night visits to area near University of Idaho students' residence. So let's have a look. A car that looks like the funny thing, a car that looks like Bryan Kohberger's was seen several times near the Moscow, Idaho home on the morning when 4 college students were found dead, according to a new Dateline report. So a car that looks like Bryan Kohberger's was seen several times near the Moscow, Idaho home. So what was someone stalking the house to see that there was a car seen multiple times around? I don't know. I don't really know what to make of that. Kohberger is charged with first-degree murder in the November 13th, 2022 deaths of University of Idaho students Annika Odell, 20, Kaylee Gonsalves, 21, Madison Mogan, 21, Ethan Chapin, 20. And do you know what I mean? When I see people saying these are young kids, and they're not young kids. Do you know what I mean? Please stop playing with buttons. I'm trying. You know, they're young adults, same as the surviving roommates. They are also young adults. So it says Kohberger is charged with first degree murder, blah, blah, blah. The former Washington State University student was also charged with 1 felony count of burglary. FBI cell phone tower data obtained by NBC's Dateline, so even Dateline can get the phone data. And it's almost like when you listen to what they're trying to suggest, it's almost like they've got the time advance reports. but that's by and by. Have you got it? Because nobody else seems to be able to get all of it, and Jennings seems to say that they don't even exist. But anyway, I digress. Allegedly showed that Kohberger's cell phone pinged nearly a dozen times to a tower. This is the important bit to really pay attention to. So pinged nearly a dozen times to a tower that provides coverage to an area within 100 feet of 1122 King Road. So he was pinged on a tower, and that tower covers an area that goes within 100 feet of the house. So not at the house, doesn't cover the house. It goes to within 100 yards. Imagine all these towers, and they all have their circles where, you know, I'll even come up on the screen so I can show you what a circle is, because some people don't even get that. So you've got towers, and they have a circle, and in that circle is what they cover. Well, imagine houses here, and then you've got a circle from the coverage of one of these towers, and it comes around here, and that gap between the circle and the house, that's 100 feet. So he's been caught by this tower that covers an area that goes to within 100 feet of this house. So he hasn't been found at the house. He wasn't caught on a tower that covers the house. He's covered by a tower that can go to within 100 yards of the house. So what you extrapolate from this is that these times Bryan wasn't any closer to this house than 100 yards. That's the absolute worst that this can be. At the absolute worst. He was within 100 yards of the house. It's not good, but what I'm saying is, it's not saying he's actually at this property. What radius do the towers have? I think it's about 25 mile. I think they can cover. Obviously, they're affected by different things: atmospherics, what's going on in the area, how built up areas are. But they can be up to 25 miles, around that sort of figure. But this report didn't say that Bryan Kohberger was at the house, which raises a lot of questions, because people are claiming that he was obviously at the house, and that's how he knew that the doors were unlocked, where to go, who was in there, and so on and so forth. And it kind of has then this knock-on effect. Do you know what I mean? They have this knock-on effect that they now think that he was at the house, so that's how he was able to do this, and this. Do you know what I mean? 100. Let me just bring it up. What does it say? It is 100 feet. 100 feet. So he could have been 25 miles plus 100 yards away from the house. But saying 100 yards sounds so much more. Exactly that, Mary Jane. He could have been on the other side of the tower. It's just the absolute worst case scenario is that he was 101 feet away from the house. So it says, King Road, where the 4 University of Idaho students were killed. The late night drives all allegedly happened starting July 2022 and continued through mid-August 2022. And the crime happened in November. So, he stopped short by 3 months. According to the report, the late night drives in the area of the King Road house began following a Moscow pool party that Kohberger had been invited to. So, so here we go. Now they try and say that this was due to the fact that he had been to this pool party, and that is what seemingly started him driving around the area. Again, I'd like to know the connection there. Obviously, we've heard about this pool party. I've done a video on the pool party, the conversation that he had with a young lady, the text that he reached out the following day that was polite. She ignored him. He didn't chase her up. He wasn't rude. Do you know what I mean? So it says, in the first 2 weeks of October 2022, around a month before the killings, records show that Kohberger allegedly visited an area near the same cell phone tower. So again, near the same cell phone tower 3 more times. But the cell phone tower, and this is like in the PCA, right? When they say that Bryan Kohberger was in the vicinity of a tower that supplies the service to the house, whatever. And this is consistently the mistake that people are making. They believe that Bryan Kohberger is being placed at the property, when in actuality he is being placed in the vicinity of a tower that supplies service to a place. And they are very, very different things, considering the sheer, range of some of these towers, like someone in comments quite rightly said. Do you know what I mean? So Gary Brucato, a forensic psychologist, said, while it is impossible to know what was in Kohberger's mind, I'm going to have a fucking good go and try and tell you what I think. I'm paraphrasing. While driving in the area, it could indicate that he was building up nerve while making those late night trips. So again, complete and utter speculation. I can't tell you what is in his mind, but he might have been trying to build up the nerve. Build up the nerve. It is also unclear if Kohberger stopped during any of these drives, according to the report. So that would suggest that they don't have the time advance reports, but we do know that Ann Taylor challenged this information, because when the prosecution come out and tried to make it look like Bryan Kohberger was stalking them, Ann Taylor challenged them, to which their response was, we never said he was at the property. We never said that he was at the property. We just said that he was in the vicinity of a tower. And she, at that point, said, but you know what he was doing there? You know where he went? And more importantly, you know where he didn't go. So again, all of this has been challenged in the courts. And this article, this hit piece, if you like, has been allowed to publish this information and word it in such a way that people now believe that he was close to the property. Like even here, it changes again. Look, in total, FBI cell phone records indicated that Kohberger was within 100 meters of the King Road house on 23 occasions, including one time on November 7th. All the trips were after dark. So it literally then tries to repeat the same thing again, but further trying to push that he's at the property. He's at the property. At 3:30 a.m. on November 13th, 2022, the night when Canodal, Gonsalves, Mogan, and Shank were killed, a white Hyundai Elantra resembling Kohberger's was seen turning onto King Road, according to security video. But again, you have to then conclude that the imagery that you're seeing absolutely 100% is representative of a white Hyundai Elantra. And people are quite rightly showing that we're looking at infrared spectrum camera and it's not picking up colors. There are literally things in that image that are like the pumpkins have been pointed out, or what are orange, and they look white. And I know that we've got some people who are saying that that car is actually green. Again, that's not a rabbit hole I've gone down yet, but people have turned around and said that that car is green, and they're quite confident that that car is green. Point being, that car could be green, and it would appear to be white. That is accurate. So what do we got here? It says just 3 minutes later, the car was seen leaving King Road and turning right. 5 minutes later, at 3:38 a.m., the car was back on King Road and exited at 3:40 a.m. At 3:56 a.m., the car was seen again turning into King Road and left at 3:58 a.m. And then at 4:06 a.m., the Elantra was seen doing a U-turn and going back onto King Road. At 4:20 a.m., after Kohberger allegedly killed the 4 college students, the car was seen speeding away from the King Road house. So again, do you notice the clever verbiage where it's saying, you know, basically trying to, this association thing, where they give you a statement and then they drop his name in there to build an association between this is this is what happened and this is what we believe that entails, and that is the car sped away after Kohberger allegedly killed the students. The car was seen speeding away from King Road House. It says cell phone records obtained by Dateline also showed Kohberger allegedly placed a call at 6:17 a.m. on November 13th, 2022 to his father, Michael Kohberger, that lasted 36 minutes. He made 2 more calls to his father that morning. Obviously, it'd be interesting to know what they spoke about, but let's not forget Bryan Kohberger wasn't the only person who was calling his parents or their parents in this period of time. There was ultimately multiple people on the peripheral of this crime who were also making calls to parents, which is quite interesting. It is quite interesting to know that Bryan Kohberger is accused of being involved in this crime and he is ringing his parents. And then you've got other people also ringing their parents who are on the peripheral of this crime. But we know that Bryan Kohberger had an impending trip that was pre-planned with his dad. Maybe he just rung him and had a conversation about it. Who knows? That may come out in the wash, but we shall see. According to the cell phone records, Kohberger allegedly went back to the King Road area at 9:12 a.m. on November 13th, 2022. He was allegedly in the area for 9 minutes, then went back to his apartment in Pullman, Washington. This is quite a damning piece of information that he has been, you know, that's been floating around for some time. JB Gunner, I know JB Gunner has swung. He rarely does think that Bryan Kohberger is guilty. And I am going to be doing a video alongside JB Gunner, a pre-recorded conversation between us that will be coming to the channel soon. So keep your eyes peeled for that. We're not doing it live because you know a live with JB is risky. But we're going to do a pre-recorded one. He could get us struck down with furious YouTube anger. So yeah, they're basically saying that he returned to the area. At 10:31 a.m., Kohberger's phone pinged to a tower. So again, pinged to a tower that served the towns of Clarkston, Washington, and Lewiston, Idaho. According to the Dateline report, law enforcement officials believe Kohberger could have been disposing of evidence such as a knife or clothing. There you go. It's further pushing that he was out and about disposing of stuff. which would have meant that it was in his car, that he either took it home, left it in his car, whatever. I still would have to consider, how the hell would you do all this, this heinous act? Get in your car, put all the stuff in your car, the clothing. Because what's he done with the clothing then? Has he got in his car in the clothing, and then gone home, got undressed while not getting any DNA anywhere, while still wearing the clothes? See, this is what I struggle with. So did he take the clothes off outside the house, get in his car naked? Was he still wearing the clothes? Did he go home and then get changed, which would have meant he'd have had to have taken the clothes off in the house, which would have potentially led to fucking DNA being transferred from the clothing or anything on the car or his house or his door, whatever? Or did he just shrink wrap his car and his house and everything like a scene from Dexter? I don't know. But there we go. Timeline of November 13th, 2022. Suspect arrives at house 4 a.m. Between 4 and 4:17, time of murders. 4:19, roommates call 3 victims, no one answers. 4:22 to 4:24, surviving roommates text each other from inside the house. 4:27, roommate calls victims again, no one answers. 4:32, roommates text constables, please answer. We've seen all these. I like the way that they literally go 10:23, survivor and roommates text victims, no one answers. 11:39, roommate calls her father. 12 p.m, 911 call placed from roommate's phone. They've left a lot of calls and texts and activity out of that list, haven't they? But there you go. Notably, on August 16th, 2022, Kohberger made an online search for Ted Bundy, according to the investigative records obtained by Dateline, then continued to read a research paper about the serial killer.